Egress windows let a lot of water into your home. People are always telling me that when it rains, they can just see water pouring in from the egress window. The reason for that being is, take this for example. You have edging, you have rock. The water moves through the rock, but it really can't get out of here because of the edging. So it ends up running right down the well of the egress window. So what we do is, well, you know what? We've already got a system in here that we put in. You can't tell because the guys are so clean and neat. We did it last week. Stay tuned. You've been asking for more sump pump systems, and we haven't been showing them because I had a patent pending prototype and I had to protect it until I had all the paperwork filed, everything was done. So now I'm able to finally show you guys everything we're doing with sump pumps. Everybody wants to know, what kind of sump pump systems are you guys putting in the yards now? What is like cutting edge? So this house here sits on a pond. There's a pond behind it. The water runs through a vein of, gravel, sand, mix. We definitely know the pond's leaching under the house because the sump pump inside is crazy active. It runs nonstop. I want to also mention, I know this is not DIY friendly. This is not. This is hardcore. Now, the guys aren't just standing up top. These guys are trained. They know what to do. There's a man down below, and it's that hole's pretty deep already. So we got to be sending down 2x6s for him to shore up the mud, and I'll show that here soon, where once we get into the vein of water, it really, really starts to flow. You can see it. It's starting to come into the hole. Now, this is an egress window, and this is a great way to get under your house, to help grab the water that's under your house. We're going to dig, and we're going to put our sump pump system 20 inches below the footer tile. So think about that. The water normally goes into the footer tile on the outside of the house, runs inside to the sump pump basin, and, just keeps, repeatedly going on over and over and over again. I don't want it to go into the house. I want to take this water and I want to pick it up right here outside of the home. This is the quickest way, and this is the best way, through an egress window. It's already 4 feet deep, an egress window, so you got a good start. And again, we're going 20 inches below the footer tile. So this is definitely one of those projects where the guys take turns. It's exhausting. It's dangerous. And you got to know what you're doing. Again, not a DIY friendly project. So we're hitting all these veins, and we got water flowing in from everywhere. And now, instead of it just being, shovels of clay, we're just scooping mud. We're just scooping mud. You can see it looks like pudding. The water's flowing. All these veins, the water's just running in. And look, there's the tile. There's the footer tile. We cut it so we can get our system in. Look at all the water rushing in. You can just see how we got to keep putting 2x6s and some plywood. It's a mudslide. There's so much water around this house. It's hard to believe how loaded. Think of the hydrostatic pressures, everything. We want to get rid of this water. We want to grab it up, and we want a system that can handle it. Now, I don't want a system that's going to run continuously. You're going to wear out your sump pump if it's going on and off, on and off. The switch is going to wear out. You want it to be a chambered system. Now, our patent pending design, and we had, look at that. Look at the water run in. That is, So here you go. You wonder why your sump pump is active and running like mad. All it takes is, some veins of water. Usually a house with an active sump pump has an active vein of water deep like this. And it's hard to get to. And it's not an exact science. But I felt pretty confident I could help this homeowner by going down into the egress window and getting under that footer tile. And boy, that bet paid off in big dividends, because this system really turned out great. You're going to get to see the results at the end of this project, and I am going to take you through the entire project. So the guys up above, again, the guys are rotating too. If the guy below is getting a little tired, he comes up. And they're trained in the event something happens. So there's our chambered sump pump system. That was the housing of it anyways. And there's a guide rail system inside it that's also part of the patent. And what's nice is, we went through the whole, process where they, search hundreds of millions of patents from the past and current. It's a giant database. Of course, we don't mess around. We went with the very best patent firm, and I'll share that with you in a future video for sure. So nobody's ever patented a chambered sump system. There's that pond I'm talking about. So we came up with this, and right away I had to find something that was a shallower dig for a yard drain sump. I needed something that in the north the winter couldn't heave. The chambered system allows the water to fill a larger void, a larger area. And what that does, it cuts down on, the pump going on and off all the time. What always wears out on a sump pump basin is the switch, guys. That's what's happening there. When you have an active sump pump in your basement and you're replacing it every 6 months, maybe a year, or even every couple of years, that's a switch that goes bad. And you just pull it out. Sure, it's all covered with minerals and looks rusty and nasty, so you just buy a new sump pump. But the sump pump is fine. It's a switch that wears out. But from the short cycles, our chambered patent pending design allows the chamber to fill, and we have stone all around it, and we drill holes through it for the outdoor installations. Now it's going to fill a void around the chamber as well, so inside and out. So we're teaching you everything. Now look at that mud. I'm going to show you something here towards the end of the video on how to deal with the mud, contractors, when you got a situation like this, because you just can't throw this in your dump truck or your dump trailer and have it just running all over the street. I mean, it's one, you got to work smarter, not harder, and two, you don't want to upset the neighbors and the homeowner that you're working for, because that mess in the street, you don't need to be out there dealing with that. So again, I'm going to show you how to deal with that. So the guys, they're down there, they're dealing with just putting at this point. You can see what's in the bucket of the ditch witch. And I got a real treat for you guys too coming up, because we got a 1550 ditch witch on order. So the basin's got its end caps on. All the 1/2-inch holes are drilled through it. Look at that pudding. But look at how much water there is. They keep bringing buckets and buckets of water up. And at this point, it's getting a little hard to really remove and excavate a lot of dirt because of all the water that's there. So the guys work as a team. This crew. That Marcelo, Valentine, and Francisco are some of the hardest working guys. If you watch YouTube, you subscribe to other channels, I would put this group against anybody. That trio would smoke any crew out there. I haven't seen nobody on YouTube that can compete with these guys. All right, so now we're at our depth. We're 20 inches below the footer tile. We're pinning our fabric down in there. So this is really important, because we got to hold back all that slop. So we got to get this chambered sump pump system, our patent pending sump pump system, down in this 20 inches below the footer footer tile, and then we got to fill it full of stone all around it. And we're going to show you how to do all that. So we do have some 2x6s holding that mud from sliding in. Again, not a DIY friendly job at all. It's definitely a group of contractors who've worked together that are veterans that need to do something like this. If you have this problem and you're here in Michigan, let us know, because this is something we do on a regular basis now. It works so well and the results are so amazing. And I don't know anybody else that's offering this service. Okay, so we used our fabric staples to hold it in place. Now, look, we put a riser on that. We needed to put a riser on our patent pending sump pump system because we're so deep. And what that means, a riser, is the vertical part of the sump basin. There's all the holes that were drilled in. All that water is going to run through the fabric, through the stone, into this chambered sump pump system, and we're going to drop a half-horse Liberty in this. And I can't wait to show you guys that pump running. At the end, I went ahead and put the camera on a tripod right by the discharge line, and I just showed this thing rip and the amount of water it moves. It moves so much more water than what the basement sump pump is now moving that it's not even funny, because you see this trickle, this like little steady trickle from the basement now. It really cut down on what it used to have to pump out. So there it is, all assembled. The guys are lowering it into the egress window well, getting it down right next to the footer. You know, it's one of those things where you definitely want to measure twice. I mean, you really do. And you know, because once you're into a well this deep, you don't want to get this down in there and have it, you know, not fit too tight. You know, so it's been measured, it's been cut, it's gonna line up just right. It's a tight, confined place to work. This is definitely not for everybody, that's for sure. All right, so it's set in place. And we did actually have to cut one of the 2x6s so that it could slide past it. So that's why you've seen that sawzall come up out of that window well. All right, so here we go. It's time to plumb it. You know, we have our patent pending sump pump chambered system in place. Time to get that half-horse Liberty in there. I wasn't able to get down in the window well to show you all the work as far as plumbing is concerned. It was just too confined. At this point, you know, it was just not possible. So I promise you guys, in videos to come, when we're doing yard drains and setting the system, I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you it all now, because all of our sketches, the different layouts of our patent pending designs are now filed. So I can show the world, and I'm anxious, and I can't wait to show you all the cool things that we can do with it. This is really smart. What they just did, that's a veteran move. You cover that basement window with a piece of plywood, and when you dump that stone in, I don't care how you're putting that stone in, all it takes is just one stone just to bounce the right way, and next thing you know, it just drops that entire window glass. So again, another veteran move, just through experience. Everybody's been there. When we were younger, we broke a window, we learned from it. So hopefully younger contractors don't have to, you know, learn the hard way. Make sure you put plywood in front of egress windows, in front of walkout basements. So what we're doing is we're cutting that riser for this. We got to cut a riser because we went so deep, and our standard sump pump chambered system is not that deep. Now, we did take a 34. We got 28s and 34 for depth. which is great for the DIY because for a yard drain, you don't have to dig that deep. 28 inches is pretty shallow. And if you're in the north, you don't have to worry about the frost heaving it because you're going to put all that stone on the chambered portion, the bottom portion, the horizontal portion, and the frost can't move it. So this system is answered to every problem we've ever had setting sump pumps. And in the Sunbelt regions, you get the rains that come down and you measure it in feet. See, so there you go. That is a big coupler. If you guys need a riser with your chambered sump pump basin, just let us know. I'll ship you one. Okay, veteran move. When the dirt comes out at first, put it in the back of your dump truck and form a dam. Then when you put all that soup in, you can put it up in the front and it's not running in the street. Veteran move. Look at that. So when you first start digging, that's going to be the best mud, if you will. Put it across the back of your dump truck, guys. Put it across the back of your dump trailer. And then that way you have something to hold all that pudding and soup from pouring out in the street and just making a mess. Look how neat and clean that is. Look at the street. See? Work smarter, not harder. It's what we talk about all the time. All right, so what you've been waiting for. Here we go. So that trickle is just pump. It's a Zoller that's in the basement, and it's just your typical 1/3 horse. All right, there's ours. Check it out. So did we make a difference? Look at that 1/2 horse Liberty, man. That is ripping. Look how much water this pump is moving. And look, it didn't shut off. It's not short cycling. Why? Because it's a chambered sump pump system. And what does that mean? It's just not a vertical basin. It has that horizontal chamber, and as the water rises, it displaces so much water. Now, look, it's still running. A lot of people don't know this, but a sump pump, all the energy on your electric bill that shows up, that's pretty much at the startup. So once you get that thing started up and it switches on, the longer you could, pump with it, the more efficient it now becomes. Now, it's getting towards the end here, and it's going to take a while for that chambered sump pump basin to fill back up to where it just was. And this is going to save, again, on the pump. The pump's not going to wear out. Why? Because 99 out of 100 failed sump pumps. It's 99 out of 100 sump pump failures are the switch from the short cycles, because for years and years and years, contractors didn't want to dig a big hole and put in a chambered system. They wanted to put in a shallow dig, and they just, lazy. And then you got, no room in there at all. And it doesn't take but, a little bit of water to turn it on, and it's running all the time. So, all right, guys, until the next install.